So you're being led down a primrose rabbit trail, the same Trump rabbit hole. Biden did not create USAID. Obama did, I think. Are we being told that this outrageousness is new? Or Trump didn't consider it a big deal in his first term? Well, the USAID and the timing of it affects my life greatly because I'm super involved in, you know, DEI scandal, lied to my face, but I don't want to make it about me. It's the Lord just drags me along. The Lord drags me along. Are we sharing the screen? I guess I want to. I guess we need to show this. There it is. Look at that. You always notice something new. Like it's under section 107. Then there's a HTML number 107, title 17. Just a lot of that going on. What were these other pictures still doing up? You got to close those out to make it easier for me to find it. I've been cutting out screenshots. As recently, let's see. Oh, this is from an article about the jab. Everyone feels you can have a laugh, a joke about men, and nobody will call it out. If we keep distancing young men by taking the Mickey out of them for the way they jump into a pool, for example, young lads will become more battle hardened. Do not remember where I was reading this at here. Damaging to young men. While the ick list, so these are things that are icky for men, are often lighthearted and harmless, experts say they can also be damaging young men's confidence. I don't want that. Who wants that? Sophia Wayborn, the managing director of Lions Campus, a London-based private clinic. This is really damaging to them. The Children's Report of 2022 is struggling with many mental issues, really damaging. Some type of ick languages. Like if somebody says, Dan Summers, the founder of Men's Mental Health Clarity, Man Up, said it was the kind of language that can cause young men and boys to really, if you tell somebody, hey, man up. Oh, I remember reading that now, kind of. She did not like it. Man up, you microaggressivers. Lori Pahutsky, a Democratic state representative in Michigan, had undergone a voluntary sterilization procedure because she's married and she does not want to bring a child into Trump world. That's her story, and she's sticking to it until last week. This married possibility to get pregnant, Lori Pahutsky was a little-known representative in the Michigan State House where she sponsored a raft. There you go, people. The AI is expanding its vocabulary. A raft of progressive legislation, including bills to protect the right to abortion, enable gender identification, and make June LGBTQ Pride Month, because that June is when people want to get married. June brides. It's a big thing. The Bible considers those things abhorrent. Abortion, abhorrent. That's a good way to remember it. Abominable is another way. So there's this building for rent. Somehow I ended up with one of these numbers, 12606, and they're like, I've got to search that number. So I searched that number, and then there was an office space that had 7 spaces available, and they wanted $27 square foot a year. And so it's looks like 2 million, pretty close to $2 million for one unit. One unit. So if you do 2 times 7 and times it, that's darn near $14 million. But they're not rented right now. They're not rented out. That's what I found out. I guess I got caught up into the beat culture of the beatniks in the 60s. I was thinking, that's cool looking swastika at their folklore center. Huh. It's a 16 star. Yeah, I was thinking it could be 12, but it's not. Kettle of Fish Bar. So they say the hippies just hung out down there, man, and listened to this guy said, what? We read poetry at 2 in the morning? I'm there. I want to spread my poetry around. My love was a cherry. What's James Dean doing there? Look, blacks and whites all getting along in Washington Park because it's the new beatnik culture. Where's the Coltrane? Right? This is where Bob Dylan got his start. That name almost escaped me. How old were the buildings? How long does it take to grow that ivy? They're gone now, I think. Hey, there's my thumbnail. I could have brightened it up a little bit, but man, it looks more fake every time you see it because the sun's behind him casting his shadow this way. And yet you can read it's the United States. You've heard that one before. Oh no, there's a bomb going off. Oh no. Watch out for the atomic bomb that could blow up the whole world. Everybody want to get a close view? This is how they did it back in the day. I don't know if this guy here is teabagging. What do you? I know what that means. Somebody told me. I need to set a start stream recording, pause, resume recording of a live video. Oh no, that would be, I think I can save like $80 a year now that I can pause and resume recording and use this like my Screencastify. If anybody's a expert on Screencastify and StreamYard, let me know. We got to move on. I wish this video would have played the other day. It got banned. Yeah. Oh well. We're moving on. And I don't want to make this, sometimes I wait till late in the show and do the Bible study. But, you guys know. And I say, hola. And I want to welcome Arietta the chanter. Are you really a chanter? Like the Gregorian chanting? Trump made money for people who needed money. Yeah, man. No doubt about that. Everybody needs money. Money is one of those things that money answers all things. Let's go to the Bible. Anyway, this is what I had pulled up. But now, after I said that, and everybody's going like, oh man, I heard this guy was going to tell me about the Bible, and now he's telling me money answers all things. So I've got to pick up my typer and find that Bible verse because I think it's in Ecclesiastes. That would have been one of the times where the great apostle Paul would have said, it's written somewhere in Scripture, where the little Paco would say, let me look it up. Oh, it is Ecclesiastes 10:19. So we could go backwards and look that book up. Now, Ecclesiastes, yeah, that's in the Old Testament. But I'll be doggone if I can remember it now. Do you remember what verse it was? Oh, 10:19? Let's see. A feast is prepared for laughter, and wine makes life merry, but money is the answer for everything. Well, they don't all read like that. A feast is prepared for laughter. Let's just read the other. Money is the answer for everything. Money answers all, but money, okay, I guess. All right. What did the King James say? Money answereth all things. Okay. All right. There you go. And the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. But I'm going to say, keep working hard for the money. Not too, but keep working hard 6 days for the money. And don't love it. Be ready to give it away. That widow with the two mites things hopping in my mind. Here's what I had pulled up. Here's what I had pulled up. The Father. Notice I always am into like, hey, that's a really strong root word if I notice it. Well, this is its own root word. It's got 94 times where this was used. There you go. So it's its own root word. I've seen a lot worse root words, but at 94, darn near 19.2% or something like that of all of it. It's its own word. Abraham, our father, they said in the boat, oh man, we're working for our dad, but we're going to leave this and follow you and glorify the Father who is in heaven. Let him go bury my dad. He who loves father or mother more than me is not worthy. How could they be? They don't get it. They don't get it. Okay, mom and dad. For this reason, I bow the knees to the Father of me. Lord, us, the infirmities he took us, he took from us our infirmities. He opened our eyes. We are his children. We, us. Verse 12, Ephesians 3. We're starting with a little Bible, then we're going to get into whatever else I had saved here. In whom we have boldness and access with confidence through faith in him. And that's not being a fool rushing in where angels dare to tread. Not when you've been around, hanging around listening to me long enough, you can go there and wait And, that's bold enough. And if if he's going to say, come on in, or give you something, but otherwise seek his face and go and wait on the Lord, seeking his face. Verse 13. So I ask you not to lose heart over what I am suffering for you, which is our glory. For this reason, I bow my knees before Father, from whom every family in heaven and on earth is named, according to the riches of his glory. He may grant you to be strengthened with power through his Spirit in your inner being, so that Christ may dwell in your hearts through faith, that you, being rooted and grounded in love. That's kind of great that those, metaphors can really be, you're rooted and you're grounded. That means attached solidly in love. That's a beautiful picture. Wait, that's the way you do write a picture with words. Verse 18. May have strength to comprehend with all the saints what is the breadth, the length, the height, and the depth, to know the love of Christ that surpasses knowledge, that you may be filled with all the fullness of God. Now to him who is able to do far more abundantly than we could pray for in our wildest dreams, according to the power at work within us. Well, we've all received that measure of grace. To him be glory in the church and in Christ Jesus throughout all generations, forever and ever. Amen. Am I sharing the screen? So I finally got to 4,700 subscribers. That took a while, huh? I've had between 4,500 and 4,700 for over 6 months. Never could, and always adding, 30, 40 a month, but it just didn't go up. That'd be 300 over 10 months. So there's that.
That happens after.
They're offering them $750 to people whose homes have been washed away.
Do you understand why Americans lack confidence in FEMA leadership?
What organization is this? Do you know whose tents these are? Are these FEMA?
In Western North Carolina, a crisis is quietly unfolding.
FEMA has moved out. FEMA is gone.
It is so much bigger than anybody can truly wrap their head around.
People have a hard time wrapping their head around it.
Trying to procure help on our own, trying to get a dumpster, trying to get dump trucks on our own, just impossible. The little bit of money that we received from FEMA, that kind of basic $750 that most received, went towards putting walls back up.
It's no longer needed. It's a government thing, but...
What organization is this? Do you know whose tents these are? Are these FEMA?
Yeah,
this is FEMA.
When Helene hit, FEMA worked with local governments to set up community care stations like these to give people access to food, water, internet, and other essential supplies.
All right. Now, the reason that I want you to think about that for a minute is what? Who told you? The day after, in the whole first week when they were going, we're going to rebuild. We're strong. Look at all of FEMA was taking the donations, and who knows where they went. I was telling you, and most of you moderators, I said, let's check in how they're doing in the wintertime. It's going to be a disaster. They're going to still be living in an uncleaned up area, and they are. The Pacific Palisades, is that what it's called? That part that burnt down, and it costing $500 billion or something. That's like 2% of Los Angeles. It's such a small part. They were going to work the next day. They were going to work the next day, man. This is all planned. and it's going to last through the next election and maybe even possibly a Trump or something redo. But in about a month, let me make another prediction. You're going to start hearing how the midterms are now the most important election that ever existed. Surprise! Oh, it's on. You did you get to see it's on 33 and 34? I don't know. Does that mean anything?
But now that a few
They
months
say
have
it
passed,
does.
they're starting to close up shop.
He said he had a really good turnout, but the government is deciding to move the camp. But we have all of these people living in tents all around here.
Yeah, it's nice.
Does that add up to you?
That's a month ago.
When your
You think it's better now?
life has been destroyed, you've lost everything you've owned, you want somebody to come in and fix it. There is this expectation that that is what FEMA or someone in the government.
They were here to help you. Look at. Don't worry. We flew you in. We got you here. We're having a meeting, and the people are going to be taken care of.
Across the country, insurance is typically thought of as kind of being your best bet for getting a chunk of money to be able to move through the recovery process.
Insurance is supposed to help people pay to rebuild their lives after a disaster. But in North Carolina, we're beginning to see the dangers of that approach.
So right before Hurricane Helene.
Wow. They were going to fix it. There's, what's that? The River Arts District. How can the artists be flooded and still not fixed? They were so in love with the spirit of neighborhood, and we're going to rebuild. We'll show you all.
One of the first videos we got, that's when kind of everyone started to find out that the whole building was underwater up to like 9-10 feet. So it was like, oh, we're having a baby, and now one of my big chunks of my yearly income is not there anymore.
Yeah, and it's not coming back.
I would say probably loss is probably close to 300,000. It was pretty devastating, and it was kind of like, well,
ma'am, your business was going to fail anyway. You put too much into this. It's like Pilates or some other fad.
Fossil fuel companies knew for decades, through their own research, that burning their products would lead to rising global temperatures.
Oh, so everybody's got a different answer, right?
Katrina recovery 19 years later. This has become a problem in more recent years it's
the climate. Let's keep going. What's this? All of present-day Tennessee was once recognized as Washington County, North Carolina. I wonder if that area is getting judged. We're all getting judged. Everybody's getting judged every day. Anyway, there was this royal proclamation that we never studied before. Never heard about it until today. Delineated. Hey, there's that word we studied not yesterday, not mañana, but this morning. 20 million acres. Hey, here's some free lands. The Transylvania, there's another purchase that we didn't find time to go over yet. He said, hey, we're dealing with Cherokees. Let's make a royal proclamation. We'll get to whatever it is. So it was once recognized, hey, it's Washington County. I would assume I pulled that up. Daniel Boone and the Wilderness Road. He was walking over the mud flood road system. The star forts that connected everywhere that they tore down in the United States. They had to leave some up. But that's what Daniel Boone was walking when he, was sent out, to go bring a group of settlers up the Wilderness Road. Well, he didn't make it. He didn't make it. North Carolina, that's where we're looking at it because it's Clarksville, and the famous RJ is on his trip. I think he's dodging snowstorms and sleet storms and trying to get back to Wisconsin to deliver the snowbirds from their, planned thing, Clarksville grew at a rapid pace. So we're looking at a place It's not in North Carolina, though. This is Clarksville, Tennessee. But they were sure talking a lot about North Carolina. It's that Montgomery County, Tennessee. We'll look at it. 5th most populous thing. Colonialization, 17. Yeah, we're taking over your town right after, the 1711 Satan is loosed. Wonder what else we got here. Let's look at the pictures. There's got to be a lot of mud flood buildings there. So there's the road that Daniel Boone discovered, the Cumberland Gap. Probably all heard of that. Now that's interesting. The Clarksville Museum. There's a picture of the old town, the only remaining wall of a building destroyed by a tornado. Like that Roxy music, like those steamboats, Clarksville, like those domed Central High School. It's pretty cool. There's the downtown Roxy again. There's the other 101st Airborne Division. People like myself who were really in an airborne division, the 82nd Airborne Division, the 101st Airborne Division were politely called puking buzzards. I'm not into that at all anymore. It's just the way it is, though. I know a lot of people are into that. They're just legs. They're just another version of a leg. So you can rappel out of a helicopter. It's not jumping or parachuting out of an airplane. Clarksville's cool. Here's Daniel Boone discovering the Cumberland Gap. Wait a minute. I'm thinking it was a road and he was bringing settlers in wagons, and it probably wasn't that hard. It really wasn't that big of a discovery. So anyway, here's that. A couple more pictures of the Cumberland Gap. This is the Transylvania thing? Boonesboro, his little son Israel. That was the meeting of the Transylvania House of Delegates? Well, that's kind of like Texas Republic, right? Remember how the Lord placed me in West Columbia, Texas for over a year? There's the road. Must mean I'm going the wrong way. There's that. There's that. Sycamore Shoals. Where are we? Transylvania colony. Extra legal colony. Okay, what the heck is that? We don't even know. There was only one, I guess. I guess there's only one. Well, as long as we're here, let's see if there's any big pictures. Very convenient way to see if there's any big pictures. Roanoke? No. Extra legal. The number one picture is Sundown on the Prairie, extra legal campaigns and efforts from 1889. It's Sundown on the Union. Land Run, territory of Oklahoma during the U.S. Civil War. That's a good time. Everybody else is out fighting. They've hired people. Some people would say, I'll give you $3,000 to go fight in my place because I got to go get me 160 acres of public land in Oklahoma, and you can come to work for me when you're done. Okay, let's go. Let's do it. There's a Transylvania thing. So RJ also stopped the night before because it takes him 3 days of driving. That's 2 nights in a motel. He'd drive it straight through. He could do it. He's done it. Drive straight through. But not with the snowbirds. They're going to go to bed. So he stayed here the night before. He doesn't even know these are mud flood towns. He's snowbird babysitting. And there's just something about the places that he stopped to stay. There's a Confederate monument in front of a big mud flood Capitol building of something, the courthouse. Is that Barn or Barney? Barney's. That's a nice. So this was the middle of nowhere, but it's also Moody Air Force Base. Look, a giraffe. And the cheetah roller coaster. There's the aerial view. Any star forts? Where's your Carnegie Library? Oh, there's always going to be one. State University with a dome. I guess that's a pretty big intersection. Well, then there's that many intersections. It's a busy place. Big town. Has a university. So RJ stayed there, then he drove up to the top of Tennessee. Let's see what else we're going. Oh, this is that sorority recruitment. That's a leftover from this morning, too. Well, we didn't look too much at it. President of the United States right there in Eureka. You know, Ronald Reagan graduated from that small university. And here he is, initiated into it back in the day. George Bush was also a Delta Kappa Epsilon, along with being Skull and Bones. I guess you could join I thought you were exclusively had to wait and let them pick you and didn't join anything else. So let's see. An illustration depicting fraternity hazing from the early 1900s. That doesn't look too demonic, does it? It does. There's a bunch of demonic people. They're like, why won't you join our fraternity? Take off your clothes. Let me spank you on the buttons. You can tell me, well, what was it that the famous actor, as I reach for his degrees of separation, Kevin Bacon, who's into this up to his eyebrows, what did he say when he got smacked in the butt in Animal House when he was joining a fraternity? He said, "Thank you, sir. Can I have another?" So they smacked him in the butt again. And guess what? He said, "Thank you, sir. Can I have another?" So, and they said, "Well, everybody else did it. My daddy did it. And now I'm in, baby. I'm in." I'm not wearing no mask. Good for you. Don't wear no mask. Mask up.
You remember what it is? What this is called? Is it called an arch or a bridge? It's called a...
It's a bridge if water flows underneath it like a creek. It's an arch if it's an arch. You know that.
Half circle. It's called a bridge. Okay, so here's an example of a flash flood.
Quiet, dude. And that happens pretty frequently with me. Does that happen to you guys? Happens to me almost every time I go hiking.
So see that alcove right here, and there's some ruins inside of it. I don't know if that's the ones that I'm going to, though. See, this is south facing. Sign.
Yep, there it is right there. You're not supposed to eat or drink around archaeological sites. So I'm gonna go over here, way out of the way, have a snack, and then we'll go exploring.
All right, here we go. Horse Collar House Ruins. Been seeing these for years in pictures. Here we are in person. Oh my gosh, those are amazing. Wow.
You know why they left. They vanished mysteriously.
Prison at Petra Clemente. Yep. We will not.
It's called The Mud Flood Was Armageddon. Glad you're here with us.
These look like the ones that I saw in a different video.
Say hello to the moderators. They're there to answer questions.
The roofs are gone. I can even touch or lean on it. Look at this. So animal tracks. Turkeys, maybe? Huh. Come right here. On top of the...
Come on,
By someone
internet.
who's around horses or knew horses, because nowadays
It's nice to be in the shade sometimes.
Horse collar ruins. That just kind of gives you the flavor of the time, you know. But for me, I call them figure 8 ruins or awesome ruins. Wow, still has the roof. Bird feet, turkey feet, or something. I don't know.
It's an upside down peace sign, man. Oh no, it's a surrendering hippie thing.
Just like I wanted to share something with you all, but I don't know.
Yeah, well, I do. So let's go over the history of measurement for a refresher, okay? The earliest recorded systems of weight and measures talked about in the Bible, you know, you got to have them fair. And we find out all of the governments wanted to say, yeah, we want fair weights and measurements. And they all have to be able to be used across the flat earth. Early standards might only have applied to a single community or small region, but that didn't last long. Often such systems were closely tied to one field of use, but units of measurement did come in, and that is pretty early. This is Nebuchadnezzarish time, you know, Artaxerxes. A Hebrew married Artaxerxes. Her name was Esther. And as far as, you know, Nebuchadnezzar, well, he had Daniel convincing him that, yeah, the God of the Hebrews is the Most High God. We'll get into some metrology, the discovery of electricity, one factor motivating the development. Oh, but they were doing it in the 4th century BC. The comparison of dimensions of buildings with the descriptions of contemporary writers is another source of information. An interesting example of this is the comparison of the dimensions of the Greek Parthenon with the description given by Plutarch, which a fairly accurate idea of the size of an attic foot was obtained. Your attic foot? We're going to get to that. Because of the comparative volume of artifacts and documentation, much more is known today about the state-sanctioned measures of large advanced societies. Well, jumped up there from that, you know, yeah, people talk about a single field when they were part monkey, but British system, Egyptian system, Filtarian system, Olympic system. I guess we don't need to study those. We could just figure it out that they would actually fill a jar with seeds and then count them and say, okay, this jar holds 1,000 seeds. And then now they call that a carat, which has just been simplified to be 1.144 of an ounce. 144 again. A dozen dozens. Dozen much? Do you dozen much? A pound was derived from the mina used by ancient civilizations. Well, oh my goodness. It's a groundbreaking discovery. No, everything is built on like, hey, we're inheriting it. Let's say that we invented it and they used it too. So, oh yeah, 0.2 of grams. Ooh, that's a better way to think of it. That's a better way. Here's something that RJ would be like, he's all into this 360-day year with a 13 floating day month calendar or something like that. It's probably true. I'll get on board with it when I feel like getting on board with it. But because I'm not sure, I don't know. Nobody knows for sure how many days there were or what's going on. Nobody's convinced me. So this is described probably in the Julian calendar year of 1668. That'd be after the Fire of London in 1666. Finally, took long enough for you to get on board, France, in your Gregorian calendar, I'm sure. Okay, so metric is taking over everywhere except for the United States. There you go. Now you know. So the finger, you give them a finger that's supposed to be almost 3/4 of an inch. Your knuckle, a little over 1.5. I guess they got it all down. Let's say your palm is 3 inches. Your half foot is 6 inches. Well, that's almost like a foot. Huh. These are hand measurements. Ancient Greek units of measurements. Everybody had them because everybody did it forever. Because nobody wants to get ripped off. Where's the time in history? Where's the point in history where they go like, hey, man, I don't care if I get ripped off. Just rip me off. Oh, my goodness, look at all that. Anyway, it comes down to fractions and negatives. I think I have something about that. Greeks measured volume according to either solids or liquids, suited respectively to measure grain and wine, a common unit in both measures throughout historic Greece. Well, Greece, Hellenistic, Gentiles, and not the ones that were called, chosen, and faithful that the gospel was preached to by, everybody that was obeying God. Hey, there's the third horseman of the apocalypse. I had to click on it. Oh my goodness, what's going on here? Somebody's weighing something. I was looking at this. Is that a bull? I got a bull on my shoulder. Well, I got a balance scale, so there. Huh, there's a real coin. This would be almost 4 carats. That's a swastika meander on the bottom. So there is a beard. Some people, some of the Jacob's descendants are not hairy men. They're just not. Let's look at the English unit for un momento. Per usted. English units were the English units of measurement used until this year. 826, 1826. They were replaced. That nope, we're going to be using the imperial units. I might want to look at that later because that picture looks pretty cool. Which evolved as a combination of the Anglo-Saxons, that's you honkies after the reset, you orphan-trained remnants of the people who didn't get lobotomized or institutionalized. Yeah, we're the institutionalized people that said, no, don't kill us. We'll get along. We got it. You say there's a globe, we say there's a globe. Oh, yeah. Various standards have applied. Customary units going back to the time. Well, it's all Bible time. You can't say back in the Bible time. No, we are in Bible time. These guys here are doing the weights and measurements in the United States are still like, we are going to tell you what you can do with your metric system, although all of us have metric tools. Huh. There you go. They had laws known as the composition of yards and perches. Is that the fish? Sometime they're not sure. There's no footnote, but they say sometime in the English system of measurement had been based on that. You honkies, who I'm a honky too, who were descended from the tribes in northern Germany, the Pasito, redefined the yard, foot, and inch, and the barley corn. What happened to the carob seed? Oh, man, don't give me that inflation, stagflation, readjust the previous value because doggone it, now you got a Pasito government going on. William the Conqueror, we need citations. I'd get a B on this if I wrote this. Magna Carta stipulates wine, beer, and corn so you can make hard liquor, I'm sure. There's a lot to all these different. There's a lot of things to weigh out there, people. Volume is hard to weigh. Gallons now. Isn't it funny how some gallons weigh more than other gallons? What would you think weighs more? A gallon of gasoline or a gallon of goat milk? Or a gallon of orange juice? Not going to be the same. The wine gallon, Queen Anne. Way to go. The exchequer no longer possessed the necessary standard, but had instead been depending on Guildhall. They had the great debasement. England messed with their gold bad, and they were a pariah among the world. There's that old sign. Guilds were the first unions. They were a big deal. Weights and Measures Office. No weird spelling. The W is two V's because a V was a U. So that's kind of a hint on a time, place, but I mean, that could be 60 years that they use that. Oh, there you go. Look at that. They got a standard of it. Huh. Is that 1826? Department of the Board of Trade. You got to always have people in charge. And it's was laid at 62 degrees Fahrenheit. Standard of length. I don't get it. Why is it Fahrenheit? I thought that was a type of a temperature. A gill? That looks familiar. So the United States is the only one that says, we'll take your tools and use it, but no thanks on everything else. Oh, I had that picture already in another one. Units of measurement. Look at these. That's going back quite a while. We have no idea what that's saying, but it has to do with measurements. Well, here's one. Metrification in 1860 in Tuscany. That's in the northern Italy, the Alps, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, it became part, yeah. Like, could read ahead and that might help. international bureaus, because now all the nations are going to get together and come against the Christians. It's Gog and Magog all over again. Wait, it's Gog and Magog for the first time. It was Magog that attacked it. Didn't it destroy it or help do something around the first temple time? All right, so they're getting it all figured out. Here's the reset. After the 1,000 years, 1711, Satan's loosed. Your orphan trained relatives who didn't get lobotomized or institutionalized, that went along with everything, like mine, like all of them that didn't get lobotomized or institutionalized in all those mud flood buildings. They said, yeah, this is for the insane. We got to kill them. We're going to kill them all the way dead, because they don't use the right measurements on how long it takes to go to the moon. Cubits, strides, that's just not going to work anymore. Since when? Well, after 1958, and you guys know that's a big deal. 1958, that's when the United States didn't get taken over by force or violence or any other method. And if you want to get paid, you have to swear allegiance to the United States and defend it against all enemies, foreign and domestic. If you get paid by the government, you sign that. I could prove that to you. Metrification again, metrification. I don't know about that. Have we had enough metrification for now? What's this? Oh, this is a cup. This is one of the official cups that you would fill with barley corn or carob seeds. There it is. And here's one of your, weights and measures, roads and distances. All right. Okay, well, there's a V. I guess that's a U. Could be a U, or it could be, did they pronounce V's? So what was this? A Roman milestone in modern Austria, indicating the distance of its 28 miles to this star fort city. Gonna fly now, yeah, I'm flying high now. Do-do-do, do-do-do-do. Gonna spell with a W. That is supposed to be an imitation of Bill Murray on Saturday Night Live when he was a lounge singer, and he would swig a drink and then, hey, gonna fly now, yeah, flying high now. So I always thought that was funny. And if you're ever wondering, why I go like flying high now, because it's ridiculous. Body-based measurements. Did we already talk about that? Where were we? Oh yeah, we were looking at this modern star fort city with all its modern star fort weights and measurements. Here's the body-based measurement in a cultural evolution. I guess there is macro. Which evolution is it that, if you breed certain types of moths, you will get white or black moths, more or less. For as long as humans have produced things, there have been reasons to measure. Early measurements made use of what people had at hand, parts of their bodies. More than 180 cultures all found standard measures. Hey, we're going to go from one book that starts with an E to another book that starts with an E. It's really early in the, the history. So anyway, this girl that ends up replacing somebody named Vashti, as she was a bad queen, Esther was a good queen, and so she got to be the queen that ruled this guy. He ruled over 127 provinces. and he had like you know, and you know that the laws and the weights and measurements of the Medes and the Persians, the laws of the Medes and the Persians must agree. That's what they always said, you know. And what were they dealing with in the Bible times? Well, silver rods, cotton curtains, violet hangings, fine linen, coaches of gold and silver on mosaic pavements. Hey, that's what we were just looking. Mother of pearl, precious stones, drinks served in golden vessels. Bible times. We're in Bible judgment time, people. That's why a carton of eggs is costing you $6. Did the Lord call me to lie to you? Some of these moderators have been doing this for 6 or 7 years. And if you asked them, if I get caught in a lie, would we be talking now? This is all the Lord going like, hey, you, the mud flood was Armageddon. And I went, huh? What? He goes, yeah. Talk about what a Scandinavian mile is when the time is right. And I was like, I'll never remember that. Anyway, there's this. You've all seen this before too. It's not Abercrombie and Fitch. Don't make me. Don't. I'm on a plane. I'm in a cab. I'm at your door. I'll look you in the face and say, "You think that's an F?" Okay. I'm kidding. Don't hurt me. If I show up at your house, I'm usually wanting help. I'm not going to be threatening you. Those days are over. Okay. They didn't fake that one, did they? I don't know. It looks fake to me. Way to go, Gruth. One picture with all of that potential of the Scandinavian mile is comparing it to the English mile. Come on, man. Just because the Scandinavian mile is like freakishly long, being 10 kilometers. How's that? You still believe in coincidences? You don't believe in a flat earth where they were all connected, where Esther's husband ruled 127 provinces? And Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, Belshazzar was what they called Daniel. You don't think they worked for Nebuchadnezzar, Darius, and Cyrus and those guys? This is the Bible time. It's happening then. It's a universal 6.2 miles. That's 10 kilometers. Okay, Swedish mile. When you know what? Don't tell me something's 2 miles away and then I'm going to end up walking darn near 15 miles because I'm going to be tired and I'm going to be going like, man, Scandinavian mile. It's the worst. It's almost as bad as caddy, the traditional Chinese unit of mass, notably for weighing food and other 1/16 of a caddy. There's another coincidence. A stone is a former unit used in Hong Kong, equal to 120 caddies. Well, 30 carry, that's a quarter. Okay. So it breaks, I guess you could break it all the way down to a quart. And whatever that was, the English called a half a quart. Caddy. Hey, not much there, but the Dutch unit, they took it much more serious, I think. At least they acted like they did because they were, I mean, these guys they got rich selling heroin and tulips to suckers. There you go. That's a big one. We got to dig big bags of corn. Something. There's a signpost showing the kilometers. Good thing it's not a Scandinavian mile. Charlemagne. Give me a break. I don't even think that's such a rewrite. That's all forgery. Carolinian king and ruler, Lothar. That has a kind of like a Marvel comic book name to it. Oh, they do take their names from the pantheon of Greek gods. Yeah, they're pretty close, but just, they're not exact. It's pretty darn near. Okay. Wow. All right. We're getting close to closing out our overview of RJ's trip and the historical metrology. I know that I gave you a break on it. We're going to have to talk on it. Look, it's not even that long. But it's what they call a science. The study of all of those things that, just partially of what we've gone over, to study the money that answers everything. But you can't love it. That'd be the root of all kinds of evil. Now, our rewrite world started in 1958 when we tried to cover up that we were an apartheid country. We had Jim Crow laws that they fought until the 1964, and it's still going on today. And we're acting like, all of these myriads of units make sense because, well, you've got a cell phone. Forgetting how long it took, even our compliant, non-lobotomized, non-institutionalized parents fought the metric system, going like, come on, this is stupid. But it took over the world because Satan wants a united nations. He's loosed from his prison so he can deceive the nations. And to deceive the nations, you have to form the nations and you have to get them all back to where they were before. That's why they needed NIST, so they could fake everything about the 9/11, start of the last 45 years. The biggest thing that ever happened, NIST is right there saying, it is possible for these planes to drop 7 buildings. It happens all of the time. For the people that don't like Wikipedia, Paco uses Wikipedia. Well, I could go to the McTutor, the math history encyclopedia and get he did it. Steven did it. Hey, look, there's 7 larger pictures. Let's look at them. Huh. Okay. So here's this guy. It doesn't look larger. So this is for the educated, though. 1579, this guy became a bookkeeper and cashier. You know what? The educated people can do all their squinting. I'm guessing they took these pictures from Wikipedia because, the educated said, I'll never look at Wikipedia. Well, at least one of them was on it. That's the close-up of that statue. There is him showing that he's an engineer. Is that a siphon? Starfort, baby. The Moors. Oh, now he even designed that. He's like Vauban. He's the Vauban of these guys. I made the star forts in our area. Oh, bet you did. And I bet you they looked like this. Thanks for the small map, Wikipedia. Better than that other one. So anyway, it's all right there. And there's going to be an election of city councilors and movers. I know that we didn't talk as much about the Trump USAID, but where is that? If there is that North Carolina, and I'm going to just type in flood. 4 months ago. I bet you they talk about how they're. I was telling you, it's still going to be a disaster. The United States can't pay. It's not going to be fixed. Things are only going to get worse. And then there were the fires and the other flood.
We currently have, we believe we have 5 helicopters en route. There's 2 here currently from the state of Virginia or Commonwealth of Virginia, and they're currently taking patients and staff off of the roof of the hospital and then transporting them back into the city of Irwin where they're unloaded and then, of course, brought for well over 100,000 CFS, which is cubic feet per second.
Oh, they're going to rebuild. That's how a computer talks. So 3 months ago, 4 months ago, 3 months ago, go. Chimney Rock News.
They're completely in tatters at this point. 3 deaths are confirmed in Chimney Rock themselves, and that's not good. The presence of the resilience of the strong. Listen, I'm looking at this right here, the video. Look at the video chewed away at the road right there. That is just crazy. The resilience of the strong town, though, they're going to build back.
You can measure it. You can weigh it, how much it can cost.
With more. And Brandy, I think that's the thing to take away is we may not be the same as we were before, but maybe in some ways we're able to build back something better. But the fact of the matter is people are living in tents. People are without a home, without a job. It's just tough no matter how you spell it out.
They're going to rebuild back better. I never heard that one before, or at least in a while.
Reopen their businesses. And we also heard the mayor for Chimney Rock speaking with our very own Jane Minar last week saying they are going to rebuild Chimney Rock, and they already are.
They might rebuild, but the Lord is going to continue this judgment. It would have been nice to have lived in a time of Star Fort when they kept them clean and they were new, but that's not us. This is us. We need to wake up that we're in the judgment. This isn't a restoration. The Bible in Revelation 20 ends with the great white throne of judgment. And before that, a group of people survived the reaping. After the 1,000 years, after mud flood was Armageddon, and we see all the pictures of how they lived, we know there had to be put in your sickle and reap. And one of them was the reaping the grapes of wrath. There's always a staggering remnant left, and here we are. It's not too far distant relatives of the people who complied, who didn't get euthanized, lynched, hung, institutionalized, gaslit, vaccinated to death with Spanish flus. It's time to wake up. We're in a judgment. Where? Right here on the flat earth nation with its golden age past because the mud flood was Armageddon. That's what me and my friends will never stop telling you because we're called, chosen, predestined, elected, foreknown from before the foundation of the earth to be adopted as co-heirs with Christ. It's just the way it is. Amen. Hallelujah. Aho. Aloha. Arrivederci. Ciao. Sayonara. Auf Wiedersehen. Nakame. Nakame. Finish is hard. Amen. Hallelujah.